Liz, thank you for joining us today. Sports literature class, one of the things that we're looking at is that we want to look at to see how athletes are uh, beyond, we see them on the playing field. We don't get to see the athlete beyond the playing field. So what we want to try to do is kind of get to know your career as a college athlete and, basically what did it lead you to? What lessons did you learn? What challenges did you face and everything like that? So that's kind of like what we're going to be looking at today. First of all, when did you first find out you're going to be a collegiate athlete?
Um, I mean, technically I found out like senior year of high school that I was like gonna go somewhere, based on just like talking to like schools and coaches and stuff. But I definitely knew there was like a big possibility of competing at the collegiate level, like sophomore, junior year, just because all the different people saying like, oh, you're like jumping so well, like you have so much potential, like there's a really good shot you're gonna go to college. So I had the idea that I like really wanted to go and that I could go like younger, but I knew for sure like senior year that I was gonna go somewhere based on like the ability to like talk to coaches.
Very nice. So, and when you first found that out, was this a goal that you had for a while, or was it something that you'd been kind of aiming for?
Yeah, I definitely really wanted to go to college and compete in college. I feel like in high school I didn't have a lot of competition, and I just always knew that there would be like so much more competition in college, so I like always really wanted to do that.
Okay, very good. So, moving on to when you actually got to college, you start your training. I'm guessing in the summertime when you left. Tell me about like the first initial. What were some of the first initial changes you saw in the competition once you got to that collegiate level?
So at least for, because I did track, so the schedule in college is different than high school because you have indoors and outdoors. So when you get to campus, you start just regular, and you have fall season is all just like extreme conditioning, and then winter is when you start competing indoors, and then you move to outdoors in spring. So I got my first taste of competition like in January, my freshman year, and that was like all indoors at UW because UW has a really big indoor facility. So a lot of schools come to UW for indoors. So I didn't have to travel much, but that was like when we started competing, and it got really competitive, but it was like really fun.
Yeah, any nerves at all? Tell me what was going through your mind when you got suited up and ready to vault, and you saw everybody there warming up and everything.
Um, it's very similar. Like I always get like nervous but like excited to compete. And the nice thing about like going to UW is all my teammates, there was like a couple of us who were like pretty similar in abilities. So I always had competition in like practice, and I always like knew who I had to be in practice, who were my own teammates. So when it came to competition, it wasn't much different, but it was like more people who are really good. But in terms of nerves, like freshman year, it's really nice because you have like that underdog viewpoint. So you're like, I have nothing to lose. Like I've never done this before. So you just compete and you just like try your best, and it works out and you surprise people. So it's like fun. But then I
So
tried to like maintain that underdog viewpoint like forever because it's like makes it just easier, and it makes it just like you're not as stressed. But definitely as you get to like your junior, senior year, you start to get like way more nervous because you're like, well, I'm supposed to be good now. So like have to like show that I like haven't lost it or haven't gotten worse or anything like that. And then you only have like 4 years, so you have to like do it while you can. Yeah.
yeah, I bet winning a Pac-12 championship your junior year probably set the bar pretty high for your senior year.
Yeah, it was hard too because my teammate won my sophomore year. So every year our like team did really well at Pac-12. So, like my sophomore year, we swept the competition. So I got third, my teammates got second and first. So Pac-12 was like a really big deal for our school. And my senior year, it was between me and my teammate, and we both had a Pac-12 championship like under our belt. So it was like, who's gonna get the second one? So that was like stressful, but it was good.
Okay, so were there some unexpected challenges that came with the collegiate level? This could be on the field, off the field. What were some of the unexpected challenges that arose when you were competing?
Um, there's actually quite a bit, but not necessarily like in sports. It was more towards academics. So it was a lot of like balancing school and sports, and then trying to like maintain the level. Because if you don't maintain good grades in school, you can't compete. And then it was just like kind of dealing with different classes. Like, I think there's a lot of like ideas that athletes get like the easy way, and like it's so easy for them in school because like everyone just like helps them along. But like at UW at least, and I was in like biology, the science department was like not super understanding of sports. So they were like, you're gonna take this course, and like I don't care what you have to do, but like this is my course and it's more important than anything else. And so I had like issues with like juggling school and sports and stuff. Like there was like one time where I had to take an exam like immediately after a competition. So I had to like run over to the next building, have like my academic advisor like proctor my exam, like, and I just like finished a 3-hour competition like 5 minutes ago. So like stuff like that, like I was not prepared for, and I learned with it, but it was hard at first. And like you are given like really nice facilities and stuff. Like athletes could get like free tutoring and stuff like that, which was really helpful. But in terms of like going to office hours and like asking professors for extra help and stuff like that, wasn't always easy because you didn't have time to like go and see them and like go to the office hours. Like extra time was like so hard to come by. So that was really a challenge. Just like finding time to like sneak in like a meeting with a professor, or like take 5 minutes to like study before an exam kind of thing.
Sounds like you're on campus for 100% of your day almost, except for sleep.
Pretty much, yeah. I think I woke up at 6:30, went to classes in the morning because we always had practice in the afternoon. So I went to class from like 8 a.m. to like 12:30, and then practice, weights, dinner, and then sometimes I had like night labs. So then I went to lab at like 6 p.m. till like 8 p.m. and then would go home, study, and then sleep and do it all over again.
Definitely a lot of juggling, it sounds like. So if you consider the larger audience there is, the abundance of skilled athletes, and you throw that, the late nights, 8 o'clock getting off campus or having study halls, you throw that all together, what were some of the skills that you came away with? Like the things that translated to the real life, to what you're like, maybe what you're doing right now with the Peace Corps?
Mm-hmm. It definitely taught you time management and like doing things like not procrastinating. Like I was never really a procrastinator, but like you couldn't be a procrastinator like as a student athlete, because like you didn't have time to be like, oh, I'll do it tomorrow, because it's like you don't have time. So you definitely like get your homework, do it that day, and try to finish it as soon as possible. So like time management was a big one, and just like I think professionalism was a big one too, because like as a student athlete, you're always in like the spotlight, whether you're competing or you're not. Like people, whether they know you or not, because like track and field wasn't like a football player, so like it's not like everyone knew that I was an athlete, but if they did, or if like something happened, they would find out that I was an athlete, and then it would look really bad like for the school. So you definitely learn how to like be professional like wherever you are, and like whether it's online or in person, you have to like be a good representation of like your organization.
And just kind of stemming off of that response right there, did you end up having, and I'm just saying this for the student audience, did you have coaches that would come to you and talk to you about social media presence and what to put on there? Or was it kind of a mutual understanding of like, okay, you're a grown up now, you need to act that professional way on social media?
It was definitely like a discussion when you first go through orientation as an athlete, like freshman year. But I definitely had an incident like where it was like my 21st birthday, and I posted just like a picture, and it wasn't like crazy, but like there was some alcohol in the background or something. And so my coaches would be like, yeah, you need to delete that photo. So it's like something you might not think is a big deal, like the like organization thinks it's a big deal.
Okay, with somebody that wears so many different hats, you have a Pac-12 championship or two, you're a Peace Corps volunteer, okay, you're involved with the community, a graduate of UW, okay, what was the greatest challenge for you during this whole string of events?
Surprisingly, the hardest thing for me was just maintaining a good GPA. I think that was like the hardest thing I struggled with, like at UW. And like it was crazy because like at first, like I'm through high school, I was like a really good like student, and then I was still like a good student. I just like wasn't maintaining the grades at UW, so that was like the hardest thing. And you just have to like prioritize and figure out like how to just like do it and get it done.
Definitely sounds like time management, priorities, and growing up real fast in a short amount of
Yeah.
time, it sounds like.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any misconceptions about athletes, especially college athletes, would you say?
Yes. I think one is scholarships. I don't know if anyone on this is like looking for scholarships, but it's like surprising how little there are. And I think everyone thinks, and I've had people tell me like, oh, like you're just an athlete, you get like 100% scholarship. And I'm like, I did not. Like, I was a good high school athlete, and freshman year I was on 8% scholarship. And then like even after getting third at Pac-12s, I was on 12% sophomore year. Like it's not a lot. and like and it's because it's a business. So like if you don't compete at the national level, like it's not as good. Like yes, Pac-12s is good, but like nationals is what everyone cares about in college. So if you're not competing at nationals, then like you're not 100%. And like it's hard. So like you have to find the school that like will give you scholarship but won't take it away. So like UW track, like my coach would never take away scholarships. You could only just go up. So some people would like come into school with 100% and they would just maintain it for 4 years. But that was like distance runners and people who competed like all year. So like football players get a lot of scholarship, basketball. Those are big too. In track and field, it was like distance runners mainly. It's just because you like I only competed indoor outdoor and like pole vault doesn't earn money for the school. So if you don't earn money for the school, then like you're not valuable. So
Yeah.
it's and that was like a big thing you learn. And like I think it was also hard like misconceptions in college were like money and then just like athletes have it easy because we don't. And like they don't see the like behind the scenes of like what you're doing, what you're not doing. Yeah, I think those are like the big two. Yeah. I think it was really interesting. Like one of the things I learned through college was all the rules that like NCAA has that I didn't know about. So like I wanted to volunteer with like Love Your Melon, which is like a beanie brand, but because I was a student athlete, I wasn't allowed to because they saw it as like using my platform as an athlete to like promote a brand, which is illegal to do. So like things like that, I was like really frustrating because I couldn't like volunteer because I was a student athlete, and that was like really hard for me.
I stemming on that whole your brand and business side, that's the very next question I said it sent you. It says, how do you feel about the NCAA allowing athletes to get endorsements on their name and image and likeness?
That is a really good question, and it's a really popular question. And I actually wrote an essay about it my freshman year of college. But I actually think it is a good idea to pay athletes, solely because athletes don't have the ability to work like full-time, part-time jobs. Like it's extremely hard to get time to work. And technically we are working like 40 or more hours a week. And like at least for like football and basketball players, you're making money for the school and you're not seeing any of it. So I think it is a really good thing. Like yes, it kind of goes away from like the professionalism and all that, but at the same time, like there's some athletes and originally, so when I first joined UW, like I think it was sophomore year, we started getting free dinners and like free snacks and lunch because that was like NCAA's way of like giving food to athletes because there was like a basketball player in like Michigan or something that was like complaining that he was like hungry all the time and he didn't have time to get a job to pay for food. So that was like NCAA's way around of like paying athletes. But at the same time, like we got dinners like Monday through Thursday, but on the weekends you didn't get food. So if you couldn't afford food, like you weren't eating on the weekends. And like there's no way around that. Like I didn't have time to get a job, and I was just lucky that my parents like supported me slightly. So yeah, I do think it's a good idea just to like, because I mean I see it as if you're like a musician or you have another like skill or profession, like you can make money through college. If you're like an artist, you can like go to do a concert on the weekend, get paid for it. But like it's because they don't have that umbrella NCAA like overhead that they can do that.
You definitely paint a picture for us that it's a very busy time, and that, I mean, from school to sports to, yeah, like you said, even finding some food to put in front of you, it's definitely a busy time, and I couldn't agree with you more. Okay, a couple of these you already answered, but we'll go down to, would you consider yourself an athlete who loves to win or an athlete that hates to lose?
I had a hard time looking over this question because as a pole vaulter, it's such an individual sport. And actually with pole vault, if you guys know anything about pole vault, you end on a fail no matter what. So like every time you compete, like you finish on 3 fails, you're done. So I would say that I love to win more than anything because it's great winning and it like sucks to lose, but at the same time, like you're always competing against yourself. So even if I won a meet, if I didn't like do my best or like set a new personal record, like I was still like really mad. So like it's hard to answer that question because like even if I won, I didn't personally win. Like it was only like the best day if I won and then set a PR or like set a record or something. So
Yeah, it's kind of a quick question, a trick question I threw at you there, just to see. A lot of people, it's hard for them to say, that they'll say, well, losing sucks, absolutely. But then, the joy of winning too. You got the highs and you got the lows. And especially, like you said, on collegiate level, you had the teammates they're very, very good. Obviously, your sophomore, junior, senior year, you guys are winning. So, is that something you guys feed off of each other then? You have such a good team. Are you guys really going after each other, pushing each other to each other's best possible vaulting?
Yeah, definitely. Like having really good teammates helps a lot because it like feeds off your energy. So like one thing with like college sports is you don't realize like there's a lot of walk-ons. So like a lot of people would just like text the coach and be like, hey, like this is my PR. Like I would love to like try coming on. And at UW, there was a lot of pole vaulters that were walk-ons. And you could see the different vibes of like, okay, these athletes like love pole vault, but they're not trying to like win nationals. So like their level of like competition and like effort is not the same as you and a couple athletes who are like trying to go to nationals, but also like trying to go for the Olympics. So like I had a teammate that was trying to compete for the Olympics. So like, and the other teammate of mine who was also trying to like win nationals. So like we as like a group were like really good at pushing each other and like just doing our best so that like we could accomplish like our goals. Yeah.
Many people know that, yeah, like you said, with the thing they don't realize with scholarships is that you actually have to work your way to a full scholarship. People know that getting a full scholarship is a great perk of being a student athlete when you get one. However, what opportunities did being a student athlete, what opportunities were created for you by your experiences? Okay, so what windows have opened, what doors, if you want to tell us about that.
I think being a student athlete in general is just like a really great opportunity. You meet a lot of different people through all the sports, and then you have access to like awesome facilities, at least at UW and a lot of like big schools. Like we got free dinner, we got free snacks, we had like awesome apparel and got a bunch of clothes, and then we also had access to like physical therapists. We had access to like chiropractors and like massage therapists. So that's like something like not a lot of people get. And I was just like so like lucky to like be like, oh, my back hurts, and then be like, oh yeah, can I set up like a therapy appointment? And it was like, yeah, no problem. It was like I was like so spoiled in that sense. But in terms of like everything else, we had like different opportunities where we had like dinner with a dog, where it's like all athletes could have like this dinner opportunity and meet other professionals and like network and talk about like professions and stuff. So like little things like that the school provides was really great. So I got to like talk to different people about jobs, and then like I had someone I could go to and like look at my resume and help me with like a personal statement and like cover letter and stuff like that. So like things like that was like really nice. But then of course, like going to any school, you have like the alumni now and like alumni association, so you can just like connect with people through that.
We got the pleasure of talking to somebody who is a two-time Pac-12 champion. Tell us about your first championship. Tell us about the experiences you had when you were on the runway. Was it a PR? You know, walk us through the story of winning that first championship.
Where was it? So, okay, yeah. So my first Pac-12 championship was at UW. It was outdoors. And it was just fun because I think it was like the first Pac-12 championship at UW because it was like a new track and everything. So I think it was just like a cloudy, windy, rainy day. So it wasn't like perfect conditions for pole vault, but it allowed for like the mentally tough to like persevere because like in terms of elements, it really affects pole vault. So it was the opportunity to show like, okay, I'm good, but I'm also like mentally strong with it. So I don't think I jumped the highest, but I still won. So it was like, okay, I did what I came to do. No, I didn't get like a record or anything, but like that's fine. So it was just like a really nice moment because it was at UW. It was in front of like my friends and family, but it was also like I finally got the first place that I've been like waiting for because I got third both freshman and sophomore year. So I was like, finally got first. And so with that, you get to like customize like a ring, like a Pac-12 ring. So it was like really nice to be able to do that.
Nice. Okay. Moving forward now, if there was a younger you in front of you right now, or let's say a young student about to embark on the same journey, what valuable advice would you give that person?
I always think this, like if I had to do it over again, one, I would take biology in high school, which is like just for me personally. I don't know how that happened, but somehow I didn't take biology in high school and I ended up majoring in biology. So that kind of set me back at the beginning because I was like trying to play catch up because they were like assuming you already took biology when you took regular biology in college. So I was like behind. But I think the biggest thing is kind of have an idea of knowing what you want to do, but like where you want to go even after college. Because in terms of like UW, I personally feel like it's a really good school, but I feel like it's really hard to set you up for like graduate school or like applying to a school after UW because at least in the science department, they curve your grade to a 2.8, which is not competitive. So if you're trying to go to graduate school, like I'm trying to do, it's really hard to apply because minimum grade requirements are like a 3.0. But if you're like an average student and you get all these average grades at UW, you're going to be like a 2.8 student, which doesn't reflect perfectly how smart you are. It's just because the school is so competitive. So I think knowing stuff like that going into college is really good. And just knowing what like the school provides and just like different things like that. Like I know I had friends that had a really hard time getting into the majors at UW because they only take a small number of people. So just knowing little things that like, okay, what do you want to do? And like, how would you get there? And knowing like what schools would set you up well for that kind of thing. Yeah.
Very good. Tell us a little bit about what you're up to now. I mean, you're home right now, but usually you're overseas. We get the pleasure of doing this interview in the same time zone. So go ahead and tell us, what do you got going on in your life right now?
Well, so if you guys didn't know, I was in the Peace Corps and I was evacuated in March. Super last minute. We were just like, got an email. It was like, go home. Like, it's not like that, but like it was like we're evacuating all Peace Corps volunteers from all the countries. And I was just in a weird situation where I wasn't even in my home. I was like being consolidated because of like political uprisings in the country. So I just had to leave. Like they took us on a bus and went to the airport a few hours later, and I had like a small bag and all of my stuff was like left behind. I had to be evacuated, and that was like 2 months ago. So now I had to come home and I was unemployed, and I found a job doing like online exam proctoring, and I just was laid off from that too. So now I am unemployed and I am working on grad school applications, and yeah, that's about it. I'm living with my parents. So yeah, that's about it. I got a rabbit to keep me entertained.
Yeah, I see you got a furry friend on the floor
Oh
behind
yeah,
you there. You
that's my dog.
got it. Yeah. Okay, right on. Well, I'm going to open it up for any of the students or staff to ask questions if they feel like they want to.
I'll answer anything. You can also ask questions about the Peace Corps if that helps too.
It was one of the funny things in our training they talked about is you got to get used to the awkward silence in Zoom meetings that sometimes it takes them forever to find that button, I guess.
Yeah, it's true.
So where were you at for the Peace Corps?
I was in Guyana. That was in South America. Most people think it's Ghana, but it's Guyana. It's right next to Venezuela. There's another question I just read. How did I deal with the failures as an athlete? There was a lot of failures. I think everyone goes through failures, but it's like kind of sticking with like your focus on like what do you want to do, how are you going to do it, and then just keep trying. Like giving up doesn't help, like turning to negative things doesn't help. So just like surrounding yourself with like athletes and people that have like the same goals as you and like talking to them about it really helps, because everyone fails at some point. So you just have to know how to like know that it's bad now, but it's going to get better. Because I definitely I think it was sophomore year. At the end of sophomore year, I honestly had a really hard time. And like talking to my mom, she was like, you should just quit track and like, it's not worth it. Like I would just be like failing. It was like the first class I failed. So I was like, I'm a mess and I don't know what I'm doing with my life. And then like some people will tell you like, well, you should just quit track. And I'm like, well, that's not an option because like I loved it too much to do that. So like, I mean, it's an easy out. So like do it. But like, I was like, no, like I really just need to like figure other things out and just keep doing it. And like, obviously it got better. So, I mean, it gets hard, but you just can't quit. So.
Yeah, I would definitely say that you're quite an example student that we like to see come out of Richland. Just saying personally, I never had you in class, but reading your resume, doing this assignment, I was like, you'd be the perfect person to start out. You're our first interview, so if you're our maiden voyage or whatever. Our next one's actually with Larry Still. Was he about your age?
He's my friend.
Yeah. Got anything to say about Larry?
He's great. Yeah, I haven't talked to him in a while, but he was a pole vaulter, and I mean, he's an example of like not giving up because he switched schools recently and finally PR'd and made it to nationals. So he's really cool. He's super nice. So.
And another athlete that we're doing tomorrow is Dante Tyler. Was he about your age too?
Yeah, I know him. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
They were both younger than me, but I both worked with them like at Richland and stuff, and still talk to them. Like, because they would travel to UW for meets, so I would see them at competitions. Yeah. So.
Awesome. Thank you. Walker is asking a question because he says he doesn't know how to. He says, do you do rope ladder drills in college? I guess that's probably like high steps or something, like ladder drills. Is that
with a ladder and then you do like the squares?
Yeah. Do you guys?
Track didn't really do that, but like soccer did.
Okay.
I did it like I started weight training my senior year of high school, and I did it as like training then, but I didn't really do it so much in college. But it all depends on like the trainer that you have.
Kind of going off that, what would you say was the most grueling workout? Like there was something that was on the schedule when you saw it, you're like, oh man, I don't want to do that. Like what would you say was some of the hardest things that trainers would give you?
So our coach gave a lot of exercises. because we would do Monday through Saturday. Weight training wasn't so bad. Like, I really liked lifting, so that was like 3 times a week we did that. But our coach would give us like a workout on Saturdays, like mornings, even after like holidays. So you couldn't like go out on Friday nights necessarily. But we would do workouts where we do like on the track pit, we would do like jumps and like burpees, and then you'd like skip across the other corner and you do like sand pit jumps or runs, and then you'd have to run across to the other corner of the track and do like med ball slams or something, and then you like skip across the side and then do more like hurdle walks or something, and then you'd have to run across like diagonal. It was hard because like pole vaulters don't condition like long distance, so when we had to do that, like all in the fall was just conditioning, but like we would start off long distance and then we'd go to sprinting because we'd run like 30 meters. So like we didn't have to run long distance. You just need to be able to do 30 meters like a million times. So those were hard, like long distance workouts. Yeah.
Sounds like a makeshift American Ninja Warrior type of course.
Yeah. Well, and our coach always had like crazy contraptions with pole vault because, I mean, if you guys know Rich Krigler, that's kind of like my coach, where it was like put in a like pole and like attach it to something. So we would just like jump against the wall and then like have these things where you like pull yourself upside down. And it's just, you could do anything with like pole vault drills.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate the interview. Hope everything, you know, your future endeavors, everything. Hope you get into grad school and all that.
Thanks.
So, on behalf of Richland High School, thanks for doing this, and we'll catch you around. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. And I wanted to say that like I will be in the Tri-Cities probably for the next year, so I do hope to like assist with coaching in the spring if that's possible. But you guys can also like reach out to me on social media or anything and ask questions.
Oh, I bet Q will not be shy about that.
Yeah. That's what I know.
Thanks, Liz. Appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Thank you. Have a good day.
You too.